Good morning. I just opened the shop and no one's here. It's quiet. So I thought I'd tell you another story. Y'all were very sweet about the other story. It's January 21st. We're over halfway through the first month of this year. Many possibilities. And if you're the type that make New Year's resolutions, I'm not. You may be kind of weary in them. Some of you may be powering through. But about this time, everybody's like, oh, not going to be able to keep that one. I think the most important thing in a new year is being open. Just being open, being grateful for where you are, but wanting to move forward, content and ambitious at the same time. Sounds like an oxymoron, but it's really not. Being content allows you to be grateful for everything you can, that you have and circumstances that you're in, even if you have to reframe it. I'll tell you that story another day, but learn to put it in a positive light, even if it's hard. Put it in a positive light. Not that you love it or it's the best thing, but put it in a positive light. But being open allows your heart and mind and soul to let the bad pass through and receive good. So I want to tell you the story of how I even smoked my first cigar. Because we all know me and cigars don't go together. Particularly if you've read anything about my past life. If you haven't, you can read on the Humans of New York story, which you can find on my website, DietraStory.com. Dietra does not have an I. Anyway, it was 2020. The city shut down on a Tuesday in March. I woke up Saturday with COVID. I refused to go to the hospital twice. My doctor got so mad she wouldn't do video conferences with me anymore and assigned me over to death. She described what would happen, and it happened just like she said, but I didn't panic and I managed to get through it and somehow survived it at home. Then I promptly fell down a flight of stairs, had a lot of stitches in my head, 9-month concussion. It was a rough year. But in June, the Sidewalk Cafes opened. Now, I was now working from home, locked in my apartment, had been very ill. It was crazy. So Sidewalk Cafes provided this opportunity to be out in the air and to see people, hear music. They had flowers. So I lived on 141st on Broadway, 3 doors up from the Harlem Cigar Room. So twice a week, I started walking through the sea of men smoking to sit at a round table at the store next door, which was the Harlem Wine Room. At that time, they were owned by the same guy. And I could almost touch the nearest guy smoking a cigar. Let me tell you, that corner was happy. They had music. Sometimes they'd get up and dance. The cigar smoke smelled good. And, I would have a glass of wine. I don't even like wine, but I would have a glass of wine. You had to get food, so I'd got fries. Cheapest thing I could do. Just to be outside, just to see people, just to know I was alive after everything that had happened. It wasn't just my own physical illness. It was the whole world, was in a panic. So I started going down there on Tuesdays, and I started going on Fridays as well. And my oldest son, who had taken me to New York and now lived far away, he said, Mom, crime's going up in Harlem, and I'm a little worried. And he's not a worrier. And I said, look, I'm still too weak. I don't have any money. I'm here. Now, after being a pastor's daughter and a pastor's wife for 54 years of my life, I can tell you, I don't go to church anymore, but I am a praying woman. I am a woman who, at the core of my being, at the center of every cell, is my love and devotion to the one true living God. And so I just asked him, I said, can you protect me here in Harlem? And if you can, would you let me know in a way that my son is comfortable? Because he's been through enough with me. I didn't want him worrying. He called one week and I said, hey, I have a plan. He goes, what's your plan? I said, I have to walk through this sea of men smoking cigars on the corner, 12 to 30 of them every night. You never know how many are going to be out there. I call them the Harlem Mafia. I said, they're the alpha males of that corner and nobody's going to mess with that corner. And I said, I just nod my head when I walk through them, but I may start introducing myself to them because the more people I know, the safer I am. He said, that's a good plan. So I was down there one day and one of the men walked over to my table and he said, you look lovely tonight. And I said, thank you. So when I got through with my wine and fries, I was like, God, he talked first. So I went up to him and I said, thank you for your kind words. By the way, my name is Deetra. And I met two of the guys. In fact, the first guy that spoke to me now owns the Harlem Cigar Room. And they invited me to come smoke a cigar. And I'm like, oh, guys, I've never smoked in my life, but thank you so much. And I walked on home. So I went down, I left again one evening, and a man stopped me. There was a whole group of them. And he said, hey, we look forward to you coming down here. You light up the whole corner. And I said, well, thank you. My name is Deetra, and I met 6 more. One Tuesday, after like 5 or 6 weeks of going down there twice a week, I decided I'd just take my work computer and sit outside at that table and finish work and just enjoy all the fresh air. So I did it. Because I was early, there was only one man outside. And I knew him, and I paused, and this was his sentence. We want to offer you protection. I said, well, I'm a woman that takes that seriously. He had no idea I'd been asking the Almighty about it, but he said, well, we take care of family and you're now our family. And I said, well, in my mind, I call y'all the Harlem Mafia. And he said, well, we're FBI, state police, and security. If you have any problems, you let us know. Like I said, it was a Tuesday. I called my oldest son and I said, fly up here this weekend. He loves cigars. I'm going to smoke cigars with these guys. I'm going to accept the protection. I want you to be with me. I want y'all to talk about what y'all do for a living. I want him to know I have a son, and I want him to know I'm not a flirt. And he flew up there. I smoked a cigar Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. I will tell you, cigar smokers, I smoked the sweet tip. But I had a good time. And I knew like 12 guys by name, and I introduced my son to each of them, and every man said, Mama. No, I'm sorry. Every man said, you don't worry about your mama. Nothing's going to happen to her. We got her. My son told me that night, at the end of the weekend, he was like, that's some of the most legit men I've ever met, Mom. And I was like, does this help? And he said, yes, it does. And he started paying my membership. And I've been a member of the Harlem Cigar Room ever since. Back to what I said at the beginning. It's a new year. Some of you have already given up on your New Year's resolution. Some of you already are having a tough time this year. Some of you are very bothered by the events of yesterday. Be open. Be open. If I had not been open, if I had just lived in fear, if I was just like, what's going to happen to me, I would have missed the richness that I have in my life. Did I ever think I would smoke a cigar? Absolutely not. Let me tell you what this is to me. This is my online Deetra story. You can buy them on my website. This is respect. This is protection. This is love. This is family. It was over a year before my son could come back, and he stayed like 10 days. We were down there every night. He had such a good time. By this time, I'm well ensconced. The guys took great care of me. I learned about a culture I didn't know anything about. I don't think I've ever been more loved and respected than I was and still am there at the Harlem Cigar Room. But one of the men was trying to explain to my son, he said, she's, the relationship we have, it's unusual, but, she's, and he finally stopped and he said, she may have been born white, but now she's black and Hispanic. When I bought my house and I moved up here this May, I had a birthday party. Never thrown one for myself. 18 of my Harlem guys came up here to my house. I want them to know they're family to me too. I know you have hard times in life. We all go through stuff. Sometimes you can't change it. Just be open. Be open. You never know what new things, what beautiful things, what rich things can come into your life. And as always, I'm sending love. Just call me the lady with the cigar.